If you're joining for the first time, I do appreciate you. None of this would be possible without you, so thank you. I appreciate your support. I wanted today to cover this little guy here. Saving and restoring your projects, or backing up and restoring your projects. That is the most important part with any creative process. We would hate to do something great, go back to it and it's not there, or it's missing a piece, or it only has half. So I wanted to cover backing up and restoring projects on this little guy here, the Roland P-6. I love this device. Some people love it, some people hate it. It's another video, we will get into it, but I like it. I think it serves its purpose. It does a good job. First things first, we need to understand that in the Roland P-6, there is saving patterns, then there is saving these samples that go with that particular pattern. Now, we could either save our samples first, then save the patterns, or we can save the patterns and go back and save the samples. If you do not save both files, you will go back to it and you will only have the pattern, or you will go back to it and you will only have the sample. You will not have the whole song, which is the pattern and the sample. So I'm going to do a quick beat on the fly, just something that we can back up and then restore, just so we can see how the process goes. It's going to seem like a lot, but it's actually not. If you are used to using the SP404 MK2 and you love using the SP, then using this is going to be a charm. 5 to 6 steps in total. It's not a lot. So right now we're in pattern bank 2 and we're on pattern number 2. We're going to go to pattern number 3, which I believe is blank, and it is. So we're going to use pattern 3 in pattern bank number 2. It'll all start making sense later when it gets to the saving process. I got a little kick here, snare, bass stab, and a hi-hat. So I'm gonna start out with a quick 4 on the floor. It's always quicker to start out with a 4 on the floor. So we got the kick down that quick. Let's go to the snare. Let's go to the bass stab. This is good for now. First thing we need to do is save it in the P6. So we're going to hit shift and we're going to hit right, which is the last step key. I always save all just to be safe on the safe side. Just save everything. So I save all and we're going to hit the enter key, which is the second step key here. And it says done. So now that pattern is actually saved in the P6. The only memory we have is the memory within the P6. So there's going to come a time where this is full and we need to dump it. So we're going to have to dump this into our computer so that way it's in a safe place till we want to come back to it later. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull this P6 up on the Mac as an external drive, because that's what this P6 is. It's like a thumb drive that you plug into your computer. It comes up as a drive on the desktop. So let's go over to the Mac and make that happen. So the first step is we're going to make sure that our USB is connected to the computer, which it is. That's step number 1. Then if our Roland P-6 is powered on, we have to power it off. So let's power this off because it's already on. Obviously, if it wasn't on and we were just gonna go straight to backing up and restoring, that saves us a step because we don't have to power off. But since it was on, we had to power it off. So now we're gonna power it back on. But we're going to hold down the play button while we power on. So a quick way to remember is if we are restoring a pattern or backing up a pattern, we're going to hold down the play button because we play patterns. So let's hold down the play button and we're going to turn the P6 on. And you'll notice the dashes on the screen. It's going to take a while if you got a lot of patterns in there. You'll also notice these step keys are lighting up to show you it's like a little progress bar. So once the step keys are done lighting up, you'll see the external drive pop up on your desktop. So now that that's done, you'll see the hard drive on the Mac desktop. It says P6. It comes from the factory that way, P6. I didn't label it that. It comes directly from the factory saying P6. There's a folder over the hard drive that says Roland P6. I did label that. And that's because I like to set up folders on my desktop so that way I know what's what. So what we do is we click into this drive here and you'll notice the backup folder. Click on the backup folder. So all we have to do is take this file and drag it over to this Roland P6 folder and drop it in. And now our pattern is there in that folder. But we're not done because now we have to go back and get the samples that we used in that pattern. If we was to just close it out like that, then we would go back and the pattern would be there, but there would be no sound. So let's go back and grab those samples. Eject this P6. Now it's ejected. We're going to come over to the P6. Now we're going to hit the keyboard button and you'll see done. You'll see some people that say you have to hit the keyboard button on the backup process, but you actually don't have to hit the keyboard on the backup process. Now we're back on the P6. We powered back on. Now we have to go back and get the samples for that pattern that we saved, pattern number 3. So what we're going to do is power off and we're going to power back on holding the sample key here. So we may be asking ourselves, well, how do we differentiate between going to bank A and bank E? The key is when we power on, if we want to just access the top bank, bank A, all we have to do is just press the bank key and power on. If we want to access the sub bank, bank E, we have to hold sample and the bank and power on. And that goes for any of the other banks as well. So if we want to access bank B, which is the top bank, we just hold the bank key and turn it on. If we want to access bank F, we have to hold sample and hold the bank key, turn it on. So now we want to go to bank A. So let's just hold the bank key and turn it on. You'll see the dashes on the screen. We know we're in the right mode, so we can just wait for the P6 to power up and do its thing. And it's done. You should see the drive on your hard drive. And there it is, the P6. So we open up the P6 and we see the export folder. And in that export folder, we're going to see bank A, which is the bank we were using. And once we click on that folder, you'll see the pad info. And when you click on pad 1, which was the kick, you'll see the kick right there. The WAV file and the PRM file. That .prm file is very important. That .prm file are your settings. Any settings that you have for that sample is going to be your .prm file. So you have to drag both over to the folder. And you'll have your WAV file, whatever you name your WAV file. If you go to pad 2, you'll see the same thing. The WAV file plus the PRM file. Pad 3. WAV file, PRM file, and then pad 4, which is the hi-hat, the WAV file, and the PRM file. There was no sound on pad 5, so you'll see no file there, and there was no sound on pad 6, so you'll see nothing there. But in this instance, all we need to do is just drag this whole bank folder over to the Roland P6 folder on our desktop, and now it's in there. And you have your bank information here with your samples and you have your pattern. So now when we restore that pattern, everything will be there. Let's eject the drive. And we're done. restoring those patterns and those samples that we saved on our computer is the same process, but you want to always make sure that you hit the keyboard to disengage the P6 from the computer before you unplug anything. So there are no sounds in bank A. There is no pattern on bank 2, pattern number 3. The pattern has been deleted. We're going to recall or restore that pattern and that sample that we backed up. We're going to power down. To restore a pattern, we have to hold down the record button and power on. And now we have the P6 drive on our desktop. So we click into the drive and you'll see the restore folder here. We go into that folder on our desktop, the Roland P-6, and we're going to drag our pattern into the restore folder. That's done. You can now eject the P6. Hit keyboard, it's gonna process. Now it's done. And it takes a little longer when you hit keyboard when you're restoring, because again, you're bringing something back onto the P6, which is why you have to hit that keyboard button during the restore process, and you don't have to hit it when you're exporting from the P6 to your desktop. Now we're back to the P6. We've restored that pattern. If you hold down pattern, go into bank 2, pattern number 3. And if you go into each pad that we use, you'll see our steps. You'll see the pattern, but no sound. And I just wanted to point that out so you can kind of get the concept of why you need to save the pattern and the sample, why it's a 2-part process. Because the pattern is there, but we don't hear anything. So now we have to go get the samples or the sounds. So let's do that. We're gonna power down. And to restore these samples, we're going to hold down the sample button and we're going to power on. We got our dashes on the screen. And now the drive is on our desktop. So we're clicking to the drive. You'll see the import folder here. Now we click into the folder that we created on our desktop. And we drag our samples into the import folder. Let's click on this import folder. We're going to drag our samples into bank A. We're going to select them all. Drag them right into bank A, like so. And now our samples are back in bank A. So we can eject the drive, hit the keyboard button on the Roland P-6. It's done. Power back on. We go into pattern bank 2 and we go to pattern number 3. And there's our pattern and our samples. It only seems like a lot because I'm explaining it, but it's really not a lot. As I said, it's only 5 to 6 steps. And this goes a lot quicker, a lot faster. Depends on how you like to save your stuff. If you like to save your stuff each project at a time, or if you like to just bulk save and bulk restore, you can do that as well. So it's the same concept across the board. It doesn't matter how you do it. As you can see, everything is the way we left it, and no issues. That's going to be the end of this one. Thank you guys. Again, I appreciate you watching. Hopefully this helps. I like this P6. If you like the SP, you're going to love this. Catch you guys next time. Take care.